Thank you very much for that introduction, Rena. And welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be in your presence today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for really stopping whatever it is you're doing for this hour so that you can be here for yourselves and be present for yourselves. I think a crucial part of being happy is being able to be present for yourself, because as individuals, we're usually ready, willing, and able to be present for those we love, but we neglect ourselves in the process. And for the next hour, I would like to share with you basically my formula for happiness, what I have learned to as tools to make myself happy. And this is the advocacy that I'm doing now, is that I teach people. When people ask me, what do you do for a living? And I just say, I teach people how to be happy. And I think that it's such a beautiful purpose to have, and it's a beautiful topic to share. And I do appreciate your presence here, and I highly encourage you to ask questions. The presentation is short, it's very straight to the point, because I would like to be able to address your questions, and this way today can really be about you, and this is why you're here. So let's begin, because the most important thing you really need to remember is that happiness is a choice. Okay, happiness is not a destination, it's a choice. And the fastest way to be happy is to be happy now. There's nothing you need to do except choose to be happy, and everything else will follow. You see, you need to make that declaration. You need to make that choice, because we're all in the same bus. We're all facing and seeing the same things, but perspective is actually what differentiates happy people from those who are not so happy. And it's all about what you're thinking. It's all about how you perceive things in relation to yourself. See, happy people will never self-deprecate. Yet, a lot of times we take self-deprecation as something to be proud of, because we call it being humble. And that's the first thing I would like to correct. During this session, we'll be correcting a lot of misconceptions on what makes you a good person or what makes you a happy person, or basically what's right or wrong, because ultimately there is no right or wrong. There is just what you think. And a lot of times when we're unhappy, it's because we think that something's being done to us. Happy people will always know and understand that they choose happiness and that they create their own happiness. And so the first thing you really need to look at is, what are your thoughts about yourself? Because it is those very thoughts that will determine whether or not you are going to be happy. Because it's how you perceive yourself, it's how you perceive your life, it's how you perceive what is happening to you. And a lot of times, victimization is the running pattern here. So we try to encourage you to get off that victim mode and start making yourselves the hero of your own story. And this is what we do to help you and to help support you. Remember, I always tell my patients that it's not me that's doing the healing. It's not me that's making you happy. It's me that's giving you resources so that you can integrate those resources into your life. Therefore, you make yourself happy. No one else can make you happy. So let's let go of the notion that the right romantic partner will make us happy, the right job will make us happy, um, the right home will make us happy, the right car will make us happy. The only way you're going to be happy is if you begin to choose happiness, change your perspective, and understand that you need to face that camera inwards, because it is really only you that can create happiness for yourself. And to be able to do this, I think it's so important that we understand where behavior comes from. What propels behavior? Because a lot of times we think it's what we think that determines our behavior. And this is the logical mind or the conscious mind. And this is where we are operating on in a waking state, right? So this is where we do analysis, this is where we do logic, and this is where we think behavior comes from. These are where we create goals, and these are where we do strategic plans. And I'm not making these small. These are skills that are highly needed. However, it does not affect your behavior. And happiness is part and parcel of your behavior. What affects your behavior is what we refer to as the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is primarily propelled by your feelings, by your emotions. And yet, a lot of times we get pretty scared of our emotions. A lot of times we shy away from what we call negative emotions. I won't even say shy away, we avoid them entirely. And this is me encouraging you and telling you that let's stop classifying our emotions as good or bad. They're just emotions. And so the reason emotions are there is that it gives you a gauge of how you're relating to yourself and how you're relating to your relationships and how you're relating to the outside world. And so when you understand that emotions are just gauges, okay, and we'll go into vibration a little bit later on, they're frequencies of how you are feeling at that particular moment. It's like your internal weather vane. Therefore, there is no good or bad. And as human beings, we come with a whole gamut of emotions, which is why it's so, so important that we make friends with our emotions and stop judging them and stop being afraid of having negative emotions. You notice when you're happy, the first thing you do is, I wonder when this is going to stop. And we feel that in Tagalog, we say may kapalit. Ang kasiyahan may kapalit. The happiness always has you have to give something in return for your happiness. Well, that's not true at all, because you can be happy all the time. And happy people will get sad. Happy people get irritated. Happy people get impatient. Why? Because you're human beings. We're human beings. So it's all part and parcel of being human to have those emotions that go full spectrum. And let's stop classifying it as good or bad. However, also know that because you have the choice, you have complete power and control to direct your state of being. And this is what a lot of people don't utilize. The key to happiness is learning how to direct your state of being. Because when you are sad, you don't need to stay there. It's very important that we acknowledge that we're sad. But what do we normally do? Think about it. Whenever you're sad or you're angry, the first thing you do is you ask why. And that is the worst thing you can possibly do in terms of your behavioral patterns. Why? Because the brain needs to attach to something. So when you ask why, what happens is you get so attached to the reason. And just think about it to yourself right here, right now. If you're angry and I ask you why, the first thing you're going to say is because XYZ said this to me, or XYZ did this to me, or XYZ is behaving badly towards me. It's always something external to you. The why will always direct you towards something external. It never directs you internally. And when it's directed towards something external, someone, something, meaning a situation, what happens is victimization comes in because something or someone did it to you. So rather than ask why, the next time you're feeling not so good, or the next time you're having what we refer to as uncomfortable emotions, you ask yourself, what is needed here? Ask yourself, what do I need to make myself feel better? And what we do is we use questions to direct the brain so that your brain is directed towards the state of being that you want it to go to. So when you say what is needed here, then you allow the behavioral patterns to change. And sometimes, folks, what is needed here, it's not rocket science. It can be taking the dog for a walk. It can be um, going to the gym. It can be jumping into the pool and doing a few laps. It can be dancing like no one's watching. Or it can even be, let's shift and reframe our perspective on this because this perspective is not supporting me. So in other words, that's when you use your tools to direct your state of being because you are 100% responsible for your own state of being. And this is the foundation from which I would like you to begin. When you take the journey, understand and know that self-love is the only way to inner joy, period. Emphasis on the period. Because a lot of times we go external and we say, like the example I gave, when my children have all graduated from university, I'll be happy. You won't. Because there is no precondition for happiness. You'll be proud of them, but it's not going to make you happy if you're not already happy. Okay? Or you'll have that temporary elation, but it's not going to be a state of being of happiness. Okay? Because the only way to inner joy, to inner peace, to inner tranquility and serenity, what every human being is aspiring to have in their life, is self-love. Okay? I'd like for that to sink in for a while, because this is the foundation to everything. And you are not broken. A lot of times I hear this from people. Let me just fix myself. Stop thinking you're broken. You're not damaged. You're not flawed. You're just human. And what's amazing about you is that you are having this beautiful human experience. And this beautiful human experience comes with polarities. It comes with opposites, because you won't be able to understand light if you don't know dark. You won't be able to enjoy happiness if you've never felt sadness. And how many of you have gone into your sadness and have actually felt better because you expressed sadness? And so there is no such thing as a bad emotion. Okay, and I'll clarify that later because there are two emotions that I want you to remove because they're absolutely useless, and that's guilt and shame. Okay, but that's a different topic altogether. Those are probably the only two emotions that do not serve you, which is why we do not honor them. And these are two of the emotions that, in order to be happy, need to be completely eradicated from your life. However, sadness, fear, grief, things that we have classified as negative emotions are things that we need to feel because they're part and parcel of being human. And at the same time, it also needs that to be able to feel the complete opposite, which is the elation and the joy that we are striving for. And I'd like to read you this poem. It's one of my favorites. It's by Marianne Williamson, because I think it sums up everything that we're trying to communicate here. And she says that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And if you can just read this to yourselves every morning, you'll find that there is immense beauty in you, there is immense light in you, and that each and every one of us has a contribution to our community, to our world, to our light. But the most important thing we need to do is, before you can even come into your purpose and before you can even do things for others, is that you owe it to yourself to love yourself first, take care of yourself, and just be happy. Just choose to be happy. And the number one resource you have is self-love. What is self-love? It's really having a compassionate, kind, accepting, positive, and uplifting perspective of yourself. You know, we are kind, very, very kind to other people, but ask yourselves, how many times are you kind to yourself? Are your thoughts kind to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you practicing compassion towards yourself? And or are you judging yourself a little too much, or are you being extremely critical of yourself? If you are berating yourself or putting yourself down, that is not self-love, that is self-abuse. And I'm using very, very strong words because I really want it ingrained that you owe it to yourself to be your own cheerleader. What is the greatest human need in relationships? Validation, right? And yet, here's the thing with behavior. Someone's validation towards you is not going to be enough unless you know how to validate yourself, because you know why? You won't believe them. And if you don't believe them, you're constantly going to demand validation from the people around you, including your bosses. Sometimes it's your parents, sometimes it's your spouse, sometimes it's a significant other, Sometimes you even demand it from your own children. And so this is something that I would really like to encourage you to do after attending this class, is to practice validating yourself. Before you sleep each night, put a running note on your phone or start a journal. And rather than going to bed thinking, I shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have said that, I wish things were different, start your evening journey by validating yourself by saying, I like myself today because this happened, or I did this, or I said that. And that way, when you go to bed at night, you are going to bed in love rather than in fear. Try it tonight and you'll see. You just might get a better night's sleep. It's also about all those things and accepting perception of one's everything, including the parts that you also classified as not so nice. Stop thinking that there are parts of you that are not nice, that are not good. You're a good person. Please stop trying to prove to yourself and to others that you are. Because if people are trying to prove to themselves that they're good people, it means that they're actually questioning God, the very creator that made you. Okay? So think about it in that perspective. It's being comfortable enough in your humanity to understand that we are multifaceted beings and that there is no dark side. And that which is referred to as the dark side is what makes us human and part of us. I know I've repeated this over and over again, and the reason I repeat myself is that's the way to change behavior, and that's the way to change beliefs. And so I'd like to really ingrain that in you today. Happiness is a state of being. It's not a state of doing. Make your state of being your priority. Happiness is an inside job. No one can alter your state of being except you. So remember that you are a human being and not a human doing. And so it's so important that you understand this, that your state of being needs to be your primary priority. And how do we do that? We do it through a technique called the mastermind. This is the mastermind, folks. What you say becomes your thoughts become your beliefs, your lives is simply a manifestation of what you believe. So if things are not going well in your life, it just means to me that there is a belief that is blocking you from achieving what you want in your life. Because everything in your life is simply a result of your beliefs. How do you change beliefs? Change your words, change your thoughts, your beliefs will follow. Whatever is going on in your thoughts, that becomes your belief. And this is the most important thing that you owe to yourself, is to make sure that the inner critic becomes the inner cheerleader. And science has proven this. This is Dr. Masaru Emoto. Masaru Emoto is a Japanese scientist who really proved to the world that vibration, your thoughts, your words can transform at the cellular level. Okay, I will guide you through his work because I love his work. What he did was he got canal water. These are not the exact images, but this is the story. He got canal water from the streets of Tokyo, and he got a molecule of water, froze that molecule, and what turned out was something that looked like an oil slick, gunk. Same source, canal water from the streets of Tokyo, kept one at its original form. The other one he put in a controlled environment and played hado, which is Japanese spiritual music. What happened was 4 hours later, the oil slick turned into something that resembled a snowflake. Only 4 hours. What is this saying? Vibration. Vibration, frequency changes the cellular structure of water. Okay? Our bodies, 70% water. Okay? So what we think, what we say, what we think, what we believe will highly influence not just our well-being, but also our physical health, which is of course part of well-being, right? And he decided to do the experiment on drinking water. And he took a glass of drinking water and with a masking tape, wrote out thank you on one, and I will kill you on another. And these are the actual images. I will kill you looked like this. So you can see the vibration of the words. Thank you. This is one molecule of water turned into a beautiful snowflake. So see the difference with the same source. 4 hours later, the cellular vibration or the cellular structure changed. And this is, so take note of thank you, because I'm going to show you gratitude. Thank you and gratitude. Gratitude is a much higher vibration. This is one molecule of water. Look at the facets, look at the depth, look at how it's just beautiful and it's natural. And this is exactly what happens when you come from gratitude. And this is why we ask that this is why I believe that the best way to really raise your frequency or bring yourself into the present moment, and one of the resources we use to prevent anxiety, is to focus on what you're grateful for. Love and respect. This is one of my favorites, because if you look at this even closer, you'll see that it's so multi-layered and multifaceted. And the reason it's so multi-layered and so multifaceted is that love is multifaceted and multi-layered. And that is, in fact, the frequency and vibration of love. And this is meditation. Take a look at it. It's one molecule of water. So when you are in stillness, when you are alone with yourself, when you come into inner peace and inner clarity, because the only way to clarity is through meditation, folks. When you come from a state of a meditative state, look at one water molecule in your body. This is what happens, okay? And this is why I get so excited about this study. And so a blogger decided to get with the program and do it at home. You can do this at home with your children. You can even do it with bean sprouts, the mung beans, the mango seeds. You know how we used to do that in school? You can put I love you in one and I hate you on the other, and see how the plants grow. We've done this experiment with plants, and it's yielded amazing results. I love you on one canister, I hate you. By day 27, the I hate you, the rice in the I hate you canister had maggots in it, while the I love you canister still smelled I don't know if it tasted like, but they say that it still smelled like freshly cooked rice. And this is why we practice very, very strict vibrational hygiene. And when you raise your vibration, you also make sure that you take full accountability of the vibration around you. So this goes with your um, your space, your home, your workspace, your friends, people you hang out with. You don't, you deliberately create your own heaven on earth by highly curating your vibrational space. This is the absolute secret to happiness. Raise your vibration. And this is the vibrational scale of consciousness. Remember, we talked about guilt and shame earlier. And so this, for me, if I were to give you a piece of sound advice, it would be completely eradicate guilt and shame from your life. And here, enlightenment, regardless of your religious affiliation or beliefs, I would replace enlightenment with authenticity, because the more authentic you are, the closest you are to your source, and your source is your creator. Okay? How do you know if your vibration is high? You expand. You feel expansive. The breath is flowing, and you are flowing. When your vibration is low, you're contracted. Your breath is constricted, and there's tension. So what you're after is that sense of expansion. And how do you be happy now? You don't, all you need to do is decide and make your vibrational frequency your number one priority. Focus inwards, because the answers are all inside of you. Stop spending time with negative people. Stop thinking negative thoughts, and just decide to stop all negativity. And folks, this includes the news. If you're watching the news and you're wondering why you have anxiety, that's the reason why you have anxiety. You can be informed just by looking at the titles, or you don't have to immerse yourself in the news. When this whole quarantine began, I did exactly that. I was glued to the TV watching the news, and I found myself crying. I found myself getting irritated, and I found myself highly, highly anxious. And I realized it was because I was watching too much TV. I was watching the news too much. Stop spending, practice gratitude, respond versus react. I'll teach you how later. Spend time alone in stillness. And that last thing that we can't see is our formula for raising your frequency, which we'll spend time on a bit later, is called move, learn, grow, create. So make a list. Make a list of what makes you happy. What makes you happy? Write it down. Have a running list. Make that list your longest list ever. And make sure you do at least 5 things from that list every single day. Okay? Raise your frequency and calibrate yourself to feeling good. And this is how you generate joy. Okay? You are your own generator of joy. And this is how you respond versus react. Gauge how you feel. There is absolutely no way you can reach emotional maturity without making friends with your feelings. So when I say calibrate, that's what I mean. I'm calibrated to feeling good, so that when I don't feel good, I quickly recognize that I'm not feeling good, and I don't dive into it. I do whatever it takes to change it by asking myself what is needed here, or what resource do I need to make myself feel better. Then it becomes completely non-negotiable to your brain to go towards that direction each time you don't feel good. Emotional maturity equals honoring and understanding your feelings. When you come from a loving state, you form deeper, meaningful, and conscious relationships. You understand that your thoughts are not reality, and that you can frame your thoughts to create your reality. And you can create your own heaven on earth. And you need to do that for yourself every single day. And it's something like sleeping in for an additional 30 minutes, right? That can just be, it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be very complicated. You enjoy fun, humor, joy, creativity, and play versus brooding, analyzing, and carrying baggage or the weight of the world. And I think that's so important. A lot of times I hear this, people ask me, how do I heal my inner child? And my answer to that is always be the child. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to play, because really laugh more, enjoy more, find humor, because that's what happiness is all about. And this is reacting versus responding, okay? And I will give you the scenarios. When we react, we ask why. I mentioned that earlier. When we respond, we say what is needed here. When we react, we are reacting from creating stories that make us the victim. Responding means rewriting your story so that I'm the hero of my own story. So create stories that support you, not make you the victim. Reacting, somebody made you feel this way. Know that you are responsible for the way you feel, and you have the power to change it. Remember, no one can treat you badly without your permission. My life is a result of circumstance. I create my experiences. I'm broken, I'm not whole. I am whole, okay? I experience pain, but I'm still whole. So you get what I'm trying to do here is, what I'm trying to do here is I reframe so that I am always self-supporting. And that, folks, is personal empowerment. Okay? And you'll find that when you start supporting yourself and you're empowering yourself, that's when people around you naturally support you and empower you. And this is the formula that I tell people to do every single day. Start a journal. And just do this every day, folks. It's next to impossible not to raise your frequency when you do this every day. Move, learn, grow, create. Move. Do some sort of movement. I like Qigong because it's slow and it really helps me raise my frequency, and it balances my energy centers. You can do Qigong, you can do Tai Chi, you can even run around the block, you can do yoga, anything that is movement. I also, when you're in a really, really bad mood, play a really, really good song and dance like no one's watching. This is also a fun activity you can do with your kids. Just rock it out and dance and have fun while doing so. And this allows you to be comfortable in your own skin. Learn. What did you learn today? What life skill did you learn today? Grow. How did you meditate today? How did you come from stillness today? And create. What did you do today to create your own heaven on earth? Okay, so just be happy now. No more blaming, no victimization. Change your perception. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Believe in yourself and like yourself a little bit more every day. Do 3 things a day to make yourself happy. Let's make it 5. I think right now we're not in normal times, so let's make it 5. And do 1 act of service for yourself each day. And before I go, I'd like to leave you with the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you'd like a book to read right now that will help you for the rest of your life, pick this book up. It's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's available for purchase online. And it really sums up everything I've been telling you. By being impeccable with your word, you create your own thoughts, you create your own belief systems. Not taking anything personally will give you a tremendous amount of emotional freedom. Don't make assumptions, because a lot of times that's where communication breakdowns happen. And always do your best. There's a Greek word called meraki that I love, because it says that in anything we do, in anything we say, in any gesture, or in any outward appearance, even an email or even a text, is a reflection of who you are as a person. So try to pick this up. Try to pick up this book, and it'll make for very good reading. And you can read it in 1 sitting. It's very easy to read. And before I leave you, I'd like for you to take this perspective with you. You are not a drop in the ocean. Think of yourself as the entire ocean in a single drop. And thank you very, very much for joining us. And these are our social media details. If you'd like to follow us, we're at Maprema Wellbeing Group. And thank you very, very much for your kind attention. Okay, Vina, I'll give it back to